Yo! What's up, YouTube?
It's the rickety rest of humanity.
I could tell that you were trying really hard not to go full, like, rickety wrecked right there. At least it seemed like
yeah, I guess. Yeah, like halfway through, I started to just say something, and I'm like, oh god, is this a Rick and Morty reference? Like, unintentionally. I'm like, uh-oh. Hey, everybody.
This is gonna go straight over everybody's heads, because they don't have a high enough IQ to get the joke.
They don't get it. It's Thomas. Thomas is here, and me. I'm unemployed, and I'm here.
Yeah.
I just got off my last day of work. I now do not have a job. And I feel great. Woo! So, we missed a week. Sorry, I was working every day. We just didn't have the time.
Yeah, and I was also across the state.
Yeah, so I apologize. We're never going to miss another week again. Unless we do. If in that case, then sorry in advance.
Yeah.
So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. We got the 2 movies. We're also going to be talking about The Lighthouse a little bit. And I'm going to talk about Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know, in the last week and a half, I've watched 39 Scooby-Doo movies.
Oh!
Now, probably about 12 of them were more like specials. They were like half-hour things. But like a good chunk of them were like at least an hour.
Okay.
I now only need to watch 3 Scooby-Doo movies before I've seen them all.
Oh, which 3 are those? Because I highly doubt I've seen them.
Scooby-Doo meets the Boo Brothers. You might have seen that one.
That is one of my childhood favorites.
Yeah. And then I don't think you've seen the other 2 because they're more recent ones. Oh, one of them is a Lego Scooby-Doo. They did...
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
They did 3 Lego Scooby-Doo movies.
They did.
Well, they did a special to like see if people would like it, and then they did 2 movies. And then the 5th live-action Scooby-Doo movie, which was the Daphne and Velma one that came out last year.
I know.
There was the original 2, and then there was
I remember like the Cartoon Network like prequel too.
Yeah.
I never watched.
I watched the first one originally and thought it was dreadful, but then I watched the second one in this big watch I've been doing. That is the fucking worst Scooby-Doo by far.
See, I thought you were going to like segue with... The first one was really bad, but the second one, they learned their mistakes and they actually made a decent live-action Scooby-Doo sequel. But no.
It's way worse. But guess who the cinematographer is?
I don't know.
Dean Cundy.
What does he do?
The Back to the Future trilogy, Jurassic Park, The Thing, Halloween 1 and 3, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Big Trouble in Little China, and of course, Scooby-Doo Curse of the Lake Monster.
You know, that doesn't like terribly surprise me. Like that
He's done some shit too.
Because, I mean, those are all, like, pretty good movies, and I'd say that, like, the cinematography is definitely, like, competent, but I wouldn't say, like, any of the cinematography in those movies is, like, breathtaking or, like, super noticeable.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some pretty good shots in, like, Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park has some pretty good landscape shots, but that could have been, like, per... I
think he's a pretty good cinematographer. It's just more baffling that this is... I'm like, what? What?
Yeah, it's like... Do just filmmakers and like filmmaking positions, like all of them just kind of go sour when they get old? Is that a thing that happens? Because it's like, fuck. Because you always hear of like directors like kind of losing their touch. Because you got like Dario Argento.
I think he mostly just kind of showed up for the paycheck.
I mean, it makes sense.
He did the Garfield movie too.
Oh,
and Flubber.
Oh!
The Holy Trinity.
Yeah.
The Scooby-Doo sequel to the prequel to the live action, Garfield and Flubber.
Man, if only he did like Marmaduke or something, then he could have like the comics to, or I guess Scooby-Doo probably wasn't originally a comic, but
Scooby-Doo, I don't know if you knew this, but 2 months ago, Scooby-Doo turned 50.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 1969, I think September 14th or something.
Okay.
What a night for a night. Remember that? Have you seen that?
Not,
have you seen the original series?
Like, when I was a kid,
The first episode is,
what's like...
It's the Black Knight. That's like where the Black Knight comes from.
Oh, okay.
That's the very first episode. It's like he haunts like a museum, I think.
Yeah, I had a few VHS that had like...
I had a DVD copy of like the first season.
And then I used to watch like reruns on Boomerang as a kid.
Yeah. No, that's Boomerang's part of Verve. So that's where I watched... I've honestly spent like probably like $50 over the last week and a half renting most of the movies.
Oh, nice.
And then, all the ones that I couldn't just get on Verve.
That's better than what I've spent my money on this week.
Weed.
No.
Guns.
No.
Hookers.
Think of like the worst thing possible, and it's that.
You donated to ISIS?
No. I bought some V-Bucks for Fortnite.
Okay. I mean, that's, if you're having fun,
Yeah, sometimes I'm having fun. Sometimes I'm getting really mad.
I was surprised. There's some I watched Zombie Island for the first time.
That's a good one.
That one fucking wrecked me. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah, no, that one's definitely
I'm planning on doing my first solo video. Will be ranking every Scooby-Doo movie.
Oh, nice.
So be prepared for that in the next... I'll probably try to do it in the next month.
Freaking... Yeah, that
one's probably be like an hour long because there's 53 I have to go through, I think.
Yeah, I can imagine that'll take a while. Freaking... Yeah, the Zombie Island one's got like really... I remember like the use of like shadow in that one makes it look a lot more cinematic, especially compared to like a lot of the other movies being straight to DVD.
Yeah, well that was the beginning of... There was the first...
Yeah, that was the first 90s.
Yeah, there was like 3 original movies. There was Scooby-Doo Goes Hollywood, Scooby-Doo Meets the Boo Brothers, I guess Ghoul School was there.
Yeah, and then I know...
And then Reluctant Werewolf.
Yeah, and then I know later they did the trilogy that had the Zombie Island.
It was actually a quartet.
Was it?
Yeah. Okay. Zombie Island, Cyber Chase,
the Alien
Invaders, which was my jam as a kid. I wanted to fuck that lady.
All 3 of them.
And then Witch's Ghost with the Hex Girls was part of that.
I actually never watched that one.
Okay, I just watched it. I needed to rewatch it because I didn't remember anything except the Hex Girls. Besides that, it wasn't very good. Like, it was alright.
I remember...
those 4 are all by the same director as well.
I remember the Hex Girls because they were on that, What's New Scooby-Doo show, if I remember correctly.
Probably.
Because they're the rock band, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Vampire Girl rock.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they also did, like, that vampire movie that had them in it.
Well, yeah, Witch's Ghost had vampires as well.
Oh, was it? So I might have seen...
There was the one in Australia, The Legend of the Vampire. They're in that one as well, which I just watched last night. It was terrible. After those first 4 movies, between like they had the live action movie and then they started doing like a resurgence of the movies. That was when they started like really getting into Scooby-Doo direct to like VHS or I guess DVD by that point movies. And they did a big thing of like traveling around the world. Each place, so like they did like the Loch Ness Monster.
Oh, I remember that one.
The Samurai. There was one where they go to like the Himalayas. I think it's called Chill Out Scooby-Doo or something like that. The Legend of the Vampire. Monster of Mexico. Honestly, Where's My Mummy was in there. Most of those were bad.
Yeah.
A lot of them were pretty racist.
How does the werewolf racing one hold up?
Reluctant Werewolf. I haven't rewatched it, but that was like my fucking favorite as a kid.
Yeah, that was one I always really enjoyed.
I'll probably rewatch it soon. I think it'll probably hold up because I remember it like pretty vividly because I watched a lot. Like I don't even know if I'm going to rewatch because like I love that movie. I think it's really good. I used to watch it like a lot. That was like the only one I had on DVD, so I watched it a ton.
I have that one on VHS and I watched it quite a bit.
But once you hit 2009, that was like the last. I think that was the Chill Out Scooby-Doo, and then like 2010 and onward, I think it's actually probably
besides the first 4, that's probably the best. 2010 to like now.
Yeah,
there's been some pretty good movies.
That's the era that they did that like new Scooby-Doo show that was actually
Mystery Incorporated. Yeah, and a lot of the characters feel like that. And Mystery Incorporated, I do think, is a really good show. I think What's New Scooby-Doo is also really good.
Yeah,
but for different reasons.
Yeah, I liked that they were with the Mystery Incorporated one. They were willing to have like a through line.
Yeah, exactly.
That made it a lot more compelling.
And they're even like, and the movies cannot, like, the movie canon actually has kind of their own through line too.
Oh, definitely.
And even the 2 that came out this year, they did a sequel to Zombie Island. Well, first they did Curse of the 13th Ghost, which I think probably like the 3rd or 4th season.
Hold on. They did Curse of the 13th Ghost?
Mm-hmm.
And does Matthew Lillard still voice Shaggy?
Yes.
Oh my god!
Well, in the one of the original series was called Scooby-Doo and the 13 Ghosts, and it was about I think Fred and Velma go on like summer camp or something, and the main characters are Daphne, Scooby, Shaggy, Scrappy, and a little Asian boy named Flim Flam.
Huh.
But that's the one, if you've ever seen Shaggy in a red shirt, that's where that's from.
Yeah, I know that some of the older stuff he used to wear the shirt, because in The Reluctant Werewolf, I remember him having a red shirt.
But that one has, like, them opening a box and releasing 13, like, demons.
Oh.
And them actually, like, fighting like demons, pretty much.
Okay.
But the show, like, got canceled right after they got rid of the 12th. So, and that was in like the 70s or 80s, I think. I think it was like 85. So then they did a sequel where they like fought the 13th Ghost this year. And I really enjoyed that movie. But then they did Return to Zombie Island, which was a sequel to both that and the original Zombie Island. Which, you know, it wasn't great, but it was pretty decent in my opinion.
Okay.
It keeps the pretty much all the movie canon is still similar to the most Scooby-Doo canon where monsters aren't real.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because most of the things with the original 4 movies where monsters were real were, Shaggy and Scooby were the only ones that really, you know, like the alien one.
Yeah.
Spoilers, they reveal 2 Shaggy and Scooby and that's it.
Yeah. That one, the
Cyber Chase was just like technically a robot, like this. So
like
it wasn't.
AI.
But Zombie Island was, the whole thing was about Velma being like, we have to, like, she's like, I have to figure this out. There's only 2 things in my like book of unsolved mysteries that are still there, and it showed that one, and then she's like, and this one, and it shows a picture of Shaggy as a werewolf, and I'm like, they're gonna redo her. Are they gonna do like a sequel to Reluctant Werewolf? Cool. Or it was just like a little like spin-off. There was also
a little like
in Curse of the 13th Ghost. Because Scrappy's like been out of the canon for a long time because nobody liked Scrappy. But
do they
in Curse of the 13th Ghost, somebody's like the Flim Flam. They see Flim Flam again, and he's like, "Where's Scrappy?" And they're just like, "What?" One of them says, "What's a Scrappy?"
Oh, okay.
They just like, and in Mystery Incorporated, even the show, they find like a statue of Scrappy, and I think it's Fred that says to Daphne, he's like, "Don't look at it. We don't want to remember that guy."
What's with all the Scrappy-Doo hate, man? Like, what's wrong with Scrappy?
I guess he's
a scrappy little guy.
He's kind of a dick, but I don't hate him. Like,
yeah, like
maybe like once I watch more, because I watched the 13th Ghost one. I really want to watch the 13th Ghost series, and I just am probably gonna. Now that I'm just about to finish the movies, I'm probably just gonna binge a bunch of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Because the only one I've seen through is I think I've seen all the episodes of like What's New Scooby-Doo. Mystery Incorporated, I think I have like 5 episodes left, but I want to rewatch that. And that one was only, I think, like 30 episodes, 26, 30, so.
Okay.
I really like Scooby-Doo, and I was surprised by how many of these movies I really enjoyed. There's a big thing. It was in Mystery Incorporated, and it's in a lot of the movies. Fred's obsession with like trap making gets like super obsessed to the point where like they're having like There's one, there's a special called The Beach Beastie. That was like 22 minutes, but it's all about Fred having like an existential crisis about how his nets can't solve every problem. And it's really funny. And there's a part where he's like, okay, we just got to go on vacation and not worry about nets. And they go to like this beach resort and there's nets everywhere. It's like a net themed resort. And he like walks up to the lady at the desk and she's like, hi, I'm a net. And he's like, you're not a net, you're a person.
No, I'm surprised by how much I've really enjoyed Scooby-Doo. There's been a couple duds, but
I really liked a lot of the movies.
Scooby-Doo was one of those like cartoons that I remember being like pretty quality as a kid. Like, yeah, there were duds, but like you said, like a lot of it's overall pretty enjoyable. And I always liked horror as a kid, and Scooby-Doo is one of those shows that wrote that like nice neutral line. I mean, I wasn't like afraid.
Zombie Island, if I had seen as a kid, would have scared the shit out of me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Rewatching, I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. Nothing from like Scooby-Doo or like Courage ever frightened me because I had been exposed to like scarier stuff. But it was nice to have like kind of horror stuff to watch with friends because my friends weren't always allowed to watch horror stuff. That was, like, the stipulation if I had like somebody come stay the night that's like, all right, no horror movies. It's like, oh, come on, why the fuck not?
Come on, let's watch a Serbian film.
I didn't know what that was.
Let's watch it. It wasn't out. It came out in 2010.
I mean, I would have still been watching horror movies around that point.
Let's watch Solo!
Yeah, I would have been a kid at that point. There's more stuff like Evil Dead and Nightmare on Elm Street and shit like that. Ugh. Child's Play. Yeah, give me that dirty look all you want.
Yeah, but there's I just want to talk about Scooby-Doo. There was a puppet movie they made? It was awful.
I think I've seen like
it was like 46 minutes, and the puppets were awful. The story was awful, and it like didn't have the humor, and it was just that was one of the worst ones.
Did you ever watch?
Have you seen the Arabian Nights one? That was one of the early ones as well.
I don't think
that was very racist stuff. But also, it's not really even it's one of the Shaggy and Scooby like solo movies.
Yeah,
which most of those were not very good, unfortunately. And I'm like, fuck. Because they rely too heavily on that, and I don't think it really works unless you have... I think Shaggy and Scooby are really good characters, but I think they only work with the gang together.
Yeah, they're a comedic relief.
Yeah. But honestly, Shaggy's like one of my favorite characters now, like in like media in general now.
Yeah.
He has so much interesting growth in like these different movies. I watched, I think it was called Legend of the Phantosaurus, which is the one where the meme started. The
Shaggy Goku level meme.
That's where the still's from.
Okay.
But that one's about him getting like PTSD from being scared too much and being like, okay, we gotta stop. But then he gets hypnotized and he's now brave. And he just starts like, he gets into a fight with a biker gang and he beats the shit out of all of them.
I think I may have seen that one.
Yeah, that one I really enjoyed.
I watched a lot of Scooby-Doo as a kid, so a lot of it's just kind of like buried in the like bog pile, but I'm saying like 2010 to like now, I think we've had some pretty like really good ones. There was one called Stage Fright that like nobody's really seen. Like there's a lot of ones that only have like they have like less than 1,000 views on like Letterboxd. Yeah,
which doesn't like mean that nobody's seen it.
Yeah,
it's just mostly
a lot of kids. Yeah.
But that one was like a.
Can you imagine like a 6-year-old just logging onto their Letterboxd and leaving like a 10-star review? Just Scooby-Doo is the greatest.
That's just what I do. But Stage Fright, I really, really enjoyed. It was like a spin-off parody of like Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, okay.
But I thought it was really funny, but I'm apparently pretty alone in that opinion.
Did you ever watch that, little kid Scooby-Doo show? I don't know the name.
A pup named Scooby-Doo?
Yeah. I think that's what it was.
I watched a little bit of it.
I watched a lot of that one growing up, too.
I mostly saw What's New Scooby-Doo in the original series. Those were the ones I watched a lot. I even remember the, like, full like synopsis of like a lot of the episodes of What's New Scooby-Doo. I'm like, okay. I remember exactly what happened in this episode.
Yeah, I remember. I remember there's like the one with the mummy where it's like it begins with like the tombs like closing in on the people, like the walls, and then they get like hypnotized or something. I don't quite remember. And then I remember they do like the House of the Future type deal. And there's like a part where they're on I'm blanking on the term right now. What do you call like the things that like sushi move on when you're at like a
conveyor belt?
Conveyor belt, yeah. I remember there's like a part where like Shaggy and Scooby are on like a conveyor belt, and there's like a Karen style like computer monitor. Yeah, I remember like bits and pieces of like What's New Scooby-Doo. That's the one that had that sick ass theme song.
What's New Scooby-Doo? We're coming after you. Gonna solve that mystery.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That was like my childhood, bro.
Yeah.
That song's super sick.
You know what else is actually? I don't know if I'll call it a sick song, but I'll call it definitely a guilty pleasure song from my childhood that I've been listening to recently. Did you ever watch? Oh god, this movie's probably awful. I haven't rewatched it, but superhero movie with Drake Bell.
I haven't seen it.
Well,
it seems awful.
Yeah, it probably is.
We should watch it for the vlog.
I was thinking about recommending it one of these days, just because I want to rewatch it for curiosity's sake.
Yeah,
that was like my favorite of the parody movies because it's like a Spider-Man parody, and I was a big.
And then
Spider-Man
Drake Bell
kid.
Played Spider-Man.
Yeah, but way after when I was a kid. So,
but it's kind of like a nice. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun.
But there's a song in that plays like during the end credits of the movie that I've been like listening to. Well, I haven't like frequently been listening to, but I put it on like once or twice. I'm like, this song's pretty alright. I enjoy this. It's got its corny moments. I feel like if it wasn't tied to the film, it might have actually maybe done better because it's got like lyrics related to the movie in it. So they could have totally just.
I am in the movie, superhero movie.
Yeah, they totally could have just. No, it's like stuff like, I am the... Like, it starts with the villain, like, going like, I am the hourglass! And then there's, like, lines about, like, his green suit and his wings and shit like that.
My big gaping pussy.
Yeah. I remember there's one scene in that movie where it's like he's, like, getting his sticky powers, like in Spider-Man, but instead of, like, sticking to walls and lockers and shit, he gets stuck to a woman's boob. And then she's like, get off me. And he's like, I'm trying. And then he ends up like, somehow Stephen Hawking ends up in a fucking, like, bee's nest by the end of that sequence. And it's like, man, I need to rewatch that movie.
I just wanted to let you know that the director of superhero movie.
I know it's from, like, is the Naked Gun guys and Half. So I think, like, the fucking people who make all the bad parody movies worked on it, yeah?
Yeah, well, the writer did, like, Scary Movie 3 and 4 and Hangover 2 and 3. But do you know what he did most recently? He wrote Chernobyl. Thanks. Which, you know, is critically acclaimed and everyone loves it. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard amazing things about it.
Yeah, I've heard pretty good things about it.
And I haven't watched it yet. That's so weird. I'm like, good for him. He's making good things.
Yeah. I won't complain when they do that. Oh. But yeah. Oh, what was that?
That's him. I just zoomed in. So... Yeah, I watched a bunch of Scooby-Doo. I also watched a bunch of other movies. I've been, like, watching up a storm. I've been going crazy.
I've watched more movies than I usually do, but I still haven't watched that many.
Any notable ones? I know we're going to talk about
the one soon, but besides that, we'll leave that for after the questions.
Yeah, I watched Parasite by Bong Joon-ho, starring Song Kang-ho.
Yeah,
and Choi Win-sik, maybe that's his name.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The son of him in that. He's He's the baseball kid in Train to Busan.
I haven't seen Train to Busan.
Oh yeah, you weren't there when we watched it.
Yeah, I need to, and it's one that
Choi Woo-shik, sorry.
It's one I'll watch here soon. But yeah, so I watched that. That was really good. I really enjoyed that. And then I watched Ingmar Bergman's Shame.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, like my sentiment with like films. So, like, whenever I watch, like, a movie that I think is, like, a 9 or a 10 out of 10, I always get, like, the sensation in me. I feel like it's, like, after, like, good sex, you know how you're like, oh, man, I need a cigarette? Like, you know that, like, cliche? I'm sure you've heard of that fucking stereotype.
Are you saying this from experience? You're always like, I need a cigarette.
No, but you, colloquially, I'm sure you've heard that.
I need to smoke a cigar.
Like, you know, a good smoke after sex. That's how I, like, that's... Whenever I watch, like, a really good movie, I'm like, damn.
I should go do some meth.
Yeah, fuck, I need to go smoke some crack right now. But,
meth time!
Yeah, so there were 2 movies that I watched this week where I had that, like, the feeling like, oh, I need to, like, smoke a cigarette.
Shame and the one we're going to be talking about.
Shame and the one we're going to be talking about.
Surprise, we're going to be talking about something.
Yeah, but Shame, probably not gonna put it on the podcast here soon, because, spoiler alert, we're gonna be doing something a little Ingmar Bergman related.
Yeah,
but soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll probably want to pick one that I didn't watch and didn't talk about on the podcast a little bit. Basic synopsis that I'm not gonna, like, spoil anything at all. It's basically about a couple on this Swedish island that starts to get invaded, and it kind of just follows the drama of their relationship as, like, the situation advances. And it's really good. Really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm excited to watch it.
And I've actually got the screenplay for it.
Here, what I'll do is I'll just go...
Careful, because half of that's Persona.
Well, it's the first half, right? So
I think so. If the book...
The paper had been reset and they had produced a front page welcoming the liberators. That's Swedish, right? That sounds Swedish.
I think it was translated into English, but...
No, my accent sounded Swedish.
Oh, sure. Probably somewhere around there. That probably sounds kind of Swedish, I guess. Maybe. But yeah, so that movie was really good. I watched that. I didn't watch the full thing. I got really tired halfway through it, and I just haven't picked it back up. But I got halfway through Paddleton.
Did you enjoy what you watched? Probably not. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah.
Got him.
I mean, it's got, like, enjoyable aspects to it, but I've got more problems with it than I do things I like about it thus far, honestly.
Note here, Paddleton's, like, one of my favorites of the year.
I went into it and I really wanted to like
that's
it.
Okay,
I was like, because I really like the charisma of
Mark Duplass?
Ray
Romano?
I think Ray Romano too.
Pretty much most of the talk in that movie is ad-libbed.
Yeah.
Which is, I enjoy. I like movies like that.
I didn't think it was, like, too bad in Creep. Because the parts of that movie were ad-libbed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just, it's mumblecore. Very, or I guess that one's considered mumblegore. It's like a very personal films with, like, usually low budget and very minimalist scripts that just let the actors work with it.
But yeah, like, it just isn't my thing thus far. But I do plan on finishing it, and who knows? Maybe I'll come around to enjoying it.
If not, Hannah will fly over and beat you up.
Yeah, she's more than able to.
Yeah. I've been, the Into the Dark series. Are you familiar with that?
Not off the top of my head.
Hulu made kind of like their answer to, like,
Is it like an
Black
anthology?
Mirror kind of. It's like an anthology movie
like a Tales
series.
from the Crypt kind of
Well,
thing?
all it is they release a movie a month, pretty much. And usually it has something to do with that month. And I thought it was just going to be 12, but then they did a second season. So there's been 14 now.
Oh, nice.
And I watched them all. I watched most of them, but I was like 5 behind, so I just watched all 5 of those. I enjoyed 3 of the 14. I think for the most part, they're very bad.
Huh.
But there were a couple good ones. If anyone wants the good Into the Dark movies, Culture Shock, Puka, and Flesh and Blood. Puka is the Christmas episode. Flesh and Blood is the first Thanksgiving episode. They just did another one. Like, it just came out like a week ago. And then Culture Shock is like the like July episode. It's about like it's about like a Mexican immigrant who like. Have you played Fallout 3?
Not the entire game, but I've played.
Did you ever play the mission where you get stuck in like a 50s town? It's like that. It's pretty much the movie.
Probably not, because my initial impression isn't the whole game a 50s town? But is it like an actual, like, not, like...
Well, not everything's blown out.
Okay. Then, no, I didn't get that far.
But that episode had really, really strong performances, and that's why it was good. But, I watched The Bye-Bye Man with Pierre.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, that movie was absolutely terrible, but it was also hilarious.
Huh.
But it's not a movie you should watch by yourself. Like, you need to watch it with friends, and you'll probably laugh a lot.
Yeah.
At how bad it is.
Was that, Is that all you watched for movies this week?
Oh! Have you heard of Gamebox 1.0?
No.
Okay, so I saw this movie as a kid, probably. I think we rented it on DVD or something. I think it was made for like $1 million. So it was a pretty low budget movie. It's about this guy who gets like a VR machine, pretty much. It's called the Gamebox. It's a sphere. It's a spherical shape. I don't know why it's called the Game Box, but pretty much it like traps him in the game, and it's like you die in the game, you die in real life. But like the whole movie, pretty much, whenever he's in front of the game, it's in front of a green screen, pretty much, and like all the effects are terrible, but it's really, really funny. And like. It honestly wasn't as bad as I was expecting. Like, it was terrible, but it had, like, enough like, creativity that it made it watchable. It was a fun time watching. It just was awful. And, like, I watched other stuff, but those are the main stuff. I rewatched Into the Spider-Verse, and then the next day, they released the date for the second one.
Oh, so. Yeah, I saw stuff, like, about it, but I didn't, like, look into it.
I think it's 2022. So.
Oh, great.
Oh, they announced it. They confirmed that the Japanese Spider-Man's gonna be in it.
Oh, good. The one with the spider head?
The one with the live action Japanese Spider-Man.
Oh, okay.
And people were talking, they're like, what if they just put the live action version in the movie? Like,
they could totally just green screen.
Like, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know if I can't remember if I talked about this on last week's, or I guess the week before last's episode, but I watched the first 2 Demons movies, which are considered like the prequel to The Church. I know I like messaged you about it. I don't know if I like talked about it on the podcast or not. So I'll just be like really brief.
Wasn't The Church? Well, no, you wouldn't have been able to, right? Or didn't you watch it after we did?
Yeah, I watched it after we did.
So yeah, we wouldn't have.
Oh yeah, the last episode was The Church, wasn't it? Oh yeah, so I watched Demons 1 and 2, which are like the films that The Church is like a loose sequel to.
Yeah, it was originally like going to it was marketed in some place as Demons 3.
Yeah, yeah, the first Demons, pretty good, pretty enjoyable. I really enjoyed it. The second one is fun. It's a bit dumber than the first one is, but it's still enjoyable. And then, yeah, I enjoyed The Church. The Church is probably the slowest out of the three movies. Demons is a lot more fast paced and like they actually
think about The Church, and I wish it was as good as the last 30 minutes of it.
Yeah. And then the demon makeup in the movies is pretty good. That's one of the things that I wish that they would have carried over from these movies into The Church. Because when people get possessed in The Church, they don't physically change much unless it's the one dude who turns into Baphomet or Baphomet, however you fucking pronounce his name.
Baphomet.
But yeah, the demons and the Demons movies, they their skin turns green, their eyes turn bright red and yellow, and they get sharp teeth and long fingernails and shit. They look pretty menacing. And then I watched Night of the Demons, which is kind of the American ripoff of the Demons movies.
And right after you watched it, somebody else I was following reviewed it, and they're like, "This is the best movie ever made." I'm like, might be a little too much, but it's their favorite movie. I'm like, well, good for you.
It's definitely got its moments. I can see why someone would like it, and I didn't hate it. I got something out of it. I thought it was a decent little around Halloween watch. It's probably not a movie I'll watch again for another 7 to 10 years if I decide to watch it again. That was around the time that I watched it last. And then I watched half of
once you get out of prison for tax evasion.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh yeah, Thomas is going into prison tomorrow. It's 5 to 10 years. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll figure out. They haven't told me if I can get a microphone yet. So
no, I'm just gonna show up to the prison. I'm gonna sit right outside your window, put up the mic, and go, "Hey guys,
Thomas, did you have time to watch the movie this week?" No, they don't allow me freedom of television in here, so you'll have to just describe the movie to me.
I'll just set up a projector outside and I'll put on subtitles.
That I'm sure my fellow inmates would enjoy that very much. Yeah, and then I watched half of Night of the Demons too. That was not good from what I saw of it, and I didn't finish it.
Nice.
I should have finished it. I literally had half an hour left of it, but I think it was half an hour. It might have been more 40 minutes, but nobody had fucking died yet. I'm like, oh my god, is this movie fucking serious right now? It's been nothing but bad character development.
Nice.
And then I went and saw the new One Piece movie in theaters. I saw it subtitled because that's what it was, and I enjoyed it. I can't wait for it to hit Blu-ray because when I saw it, I was pretty tired, and I didn't nod off at any part. I was awake through the whole thing, but it's my brain was kind of on low power mode, so I would kind of blink, and for a second I would kind of miss stuff, and just stuff wasn't sticking. So I feel the first kind of middle chunk of it kind of got fogged out because I was just trying hard to focus and stay awake, and plus it was subtitled, so it was just adding to the mental focus that I needed to upkeep to watch the movie.
That's why I'm glad I saw Promare and dubbed.
Yeah,
because I'm oh my god. Especially because that movie's fucking insane. It's
yeah. So, yeah, I think that's what I watched this week. Yeah, I don't think I watched anything else besides that, so.
Very cool. Do you want to go to questions first, or do you want to talk about...
Let's do questions.
Okay. We only have one. Well, we only have one from one person. It's Pierre.
Brian, I'm gonna fucking kill you if you are listening to this. Did you get a notification on any other video?
Oh, let me check the videos.
Because he's do I have to leave the question on the current video? I'm
hold on.
I'm sure.
I was just checking our email because that's where we usually get them. But let me see.
Oh, you get them on The email. I thought you.
Well, no, I say that people can check wherever. I don't see anything. There is no. No.
Oh, fuck you, Brian.
Got him. All right. There's 3 here from Pierre, though. Do you ever think about how loud the sun would be if sound could travel in space?
Yes. Well, I've had that thought before.
Okay, cool. How do you feel about movie deaths that are sudden and or unceremonious? An example of which is, I'm not going to say that one because I haven't seen the movie. But have you seen, I think it's Deep Blue Sea with Samuel L. Jackson?
Oh, yeah.
When he just, dies.
Depends on the movie, depends on the context, depends on what the death is trying to do in terms of
I think it can be extremely, powerful or, it's
Deep Blue Sea, I think, is a pretty good example of that because that's not a movie I take very seriously in the first place. Yeah. It's about, fucking super sharks, and it's got fucking, what's his name? Paul Walker, and, just a dumb action movie. It's got fucking LL Cool J and his parrot.
Oh, that's fair. No, I think it can be really good, and it can be, kind of shocking. It wasn't really unceremonious, but Drew Barrymore in the first Scream, doesn't she die in the first 5 minutes? The first scene she dies, and she was the main person that was
on the posters and shit. They were marketing it
it can be, it's just another subversion of expectations, which can work very, very well for certain things. Yeah.
But if I'm watching a movie what would be a good example? I don't know, Barry Lyndon, for instance. I'm just going to use that as an example, and I'm going to come up with a fake character to kill off. But let's say,
Borkle.
Yeah, let's say halfway through the movie, Sir Bullington dies out of fucking nowhere. I don't know, that might, because people die in Barry Lyndon. I don't know. It just depends on what the death is meant to serve for the character.
Yeah, I think
because Barry Lyndon, when a character dies in that movie, it has an impact on his character.
Yeah.
So it's it makes sense. It's not a character that felt like they were just building the character up just to kill off and have no story impact or anything like that. But yeah, so it's just circumstantial.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But for the most part, I'm a fan of it, I guess. I like it.
I'd say for the most part, I'm not a fan of it. Generally,
I'm a fan of the idea of it, I mean. If it's executed well. I think it can be very good. I can't think of a whole lot of examples right now. So
there's a whole lot of anime that I can think of that do that.
Yeah.
And it's
You fucking weeaboo. Are you ready for this last question? This is specifically for you.
Oh, let me guess. It has something to do with Eraserhead.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Then yes, I am ready.
Pierre wanted to give you a break.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Lastly, I want Thomas to explain to the audience what makes a furry. Is it a fursuit and or tails and ears? If a character just happens to be a species that has a mix of human and animal quality, are they a furry? What if the animal being imitated has no fur? I feel like Thomas's expert opinion can help further science's understanding of this field.
Okay. So to me, a furry...
I think Pierre thinks you're a furry.
I don't know where he gets the contextual evidence for this, but...
maybe you sound like one.
I mean, I watch... there are a few,
furry porn.
No. There are a few content creators I follow who are furries, so I hear furry insights sometimes. So, to me, a furry is someone who, to my understanding, in the furry community, they don't necessarily need a fursuit.
Yeah, I know furries as well.
Okay. I wasn't sure. So, to me, a furry is someone who just is sexually attracted to animated depictions of anamorphic people, people who are half animal, half
anthropomorphic.
Yeah, that was the term I was looking for. So, they won't fuck your dog, but if you got a poster of Sonic the Hedgehog on your wall, they might jack off to that.
Well, if I'm being honest, I know furries that aren't sexually attracted to them. Like, they just like
some people just like
the
alternate persona.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very wide community, and it's shit on a lot. I'm not gonna say I'm not a furry, but it's shit on way too often.
I'm not a furry, but I'm fully supportive of the furry community.
I'm furry supportive of the community.
As long as it's all consensual and all just good vibes, I don't care.
There's a big difference between wanting to fuck an imaginary anthropomorphic animal and wanting to fuck an actual animal.
Yeah, because I know legitimate people who are like, furries. Ugh.
I was like that in high school.
I get it.
I'm like, oh, furry, and I'm like, it's not for me, but what the fuck ever. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's like I get if you don't have the full understanding why you'd be like that, but as far as I'm concerned,
it might freak me the fuck out if I walked into a store and there were just furries everywhere, in fursuits. I might be like,
I wouldn't be.
Where am I?
I wouldn't be freaked out. I'd probably laugh. I'd probably find it really funny.
I would. It would freak me out. If I walked into a store and everyone was in a fursuit, I'd be like, "Where am I?"
Little did London know he
this
just
is a
crossed
Starbucks
over into the Twilight Zone.
That'd be a good episode.
Yeah, why the fuck is there not a Twilight Zone episode where some dude just walks through a doorway and just transitions into the Twilight Zone and just everyone is a furry? But it's actual
anthropomorphic.
Yeah, I can't pronounce words, but just real life, not just cartoons or fursuits, just real, actual half humans, half animals.
What's your persona? What would you be?
Oh, a gorilla for sure. I love gorillas.
I'd be a chicken.
Oh, nice. In Fortnite, my glider is a big chicken.
You should make videos about the narrative of Fortnite.
Oh, no, I don't give a shit about the narrative. I'm just fucking...
You should make a Fortnite movie.
I'm just in there trying to shoot as many 12-year-olds as I can legally.
Okay. Let's talk about what we saw. We didn't see it together, but we both saw the new Robert Eggers film, The Lighthouse. Starring Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, and that's pretty much it, except a lady.
There's a lady, and then there's two other guys at the very beginning.
Yeah, but they don't
talk.
I don't even think you see one of their faces.
Yeah,
just because of
if you do, they're
you see the bottom of his face.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna talk about this for a couple minutes, not really delve into it, but wanted to give it its own little section.
Thomas, go see this.
We both loved it.
Yeah.
Thomas loved it even more than me.
I did.
And I love movies more than Thomas usually.
This is probably my favorite of the year so far.
Yeah. And it's definitely, I think it's on my top 6, 7? I don't know. I've given a couple movies 10s. And I think this is the highest 9 in my ranking right now. So whatever that is. I think it's 6 or 7. But yeah, it was really, really great. I thought it was it wasn't ever scary. It was a horror film, but horror films don't have to be scary.
Yeah.
But there were definitely horrifying elements in parts.
Yeah.
The situation at parts was pretty horrifying. But also, I thought the movie was hilarious at parts.
Oh, yeah. It definitely had a sense of humor.
It was very, very funny.
There was a while there, without, getting into spoilers, this part isn't, super spoilery, but there's, that part at the very beginning where, they first get to the lighthouse and Willem Dafoe's character keeps farting, but the lighthouse was kind of crickety, and there was also treble, or not treble, but trumpets and shit like that. I don't know if that would be treble. I don't know music. Yeah. But and I'm there are parts where I'm was that the floor creaking? Was that a horn? And then it just kept happening. I'm all right. That character is farting.
Yeah, he was farting.
And then later they acknowledge
Robert
it.
Pattinson is stop fucking
I'm
farting.
so sick and tired of your fucking farts. And it's just oh my God. The movie was actually really funny. It had a lot of funny little moments, and it's a very bipolar movie because you never know like what emotion it's like the next scene is going to try to like get out of you.
Yeah, and Robert Pattinson gets sprayed with a bunch of shit. I don't even know if that was funny. I was more like,
I was like, oof.
I was like, oh no. And then he just like stands there screaming. He's like,
Oh man. But this I have to seriously think about this and go through like both actors' body of works, but this might be the like best acting performance I've seen from both of them.
You know, honestly,
they both do a really good job in this. I'm more hesitant.
I like them both in it. Like, I love them both, but I don't think I don't really think it's the best for either of them, in my opinion. Like, my favorite, at least. Just 'cause, like, honestly, like, I fucking love Willem Dafoe and, like, Antichrist.
See, Willem Dafoe is the one I'm more hesitant to say that about, simply because he's just got such a fucking great body of work. And Robert Pattinson's got a pretty good body
I need to see more of his stuff.
He's been getting in more
pretty much
stuff
ever since after Twilight. He's, like, had a pretty good body of work, just more in, like, independent stuff. So I have to see a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, I have to see a lot of like the initial post-Twilight stuff, because I remember like seeing trailers for some things when it was like happening, but I never like bothered to watch them because I was still on that mode of like, ugh, Twilight, Robert
Which is
Pattinson.
funny because Robert Pattinson is the person that hates Twilight the most.
I didn't know
like,
that.
Even during like the PR runs for that, he's like laughing at the interviewer's jokes. They're like, so what was it like playing such an iconic vampire? He's like, oh, terrible. I'm like, it's so funny.
Oh man,
because I don't hate Twilight that much. I think they're all pretty. Well, I think 3 of the 5 are pretty bad. I think there's 2 that are decent.
I wonder at what point he got like free like range to like just say whatever the fuck he wanted.
Like, he was saying stuff in like the PR for like the first.
Was he?
Pretty much.
I know like a lot of like big Hollywood films will have like contracts that you have to sign to keep you from.
I don't know if he just
talking.
didn't care, but
oh, this movie's fucking terrible. But I mean, it's doing really well, so I can say all this shit. And they're gonna bring me back because I'm the man candy selling it. Oh man. I love Robert Pattinson. He's so fucking funny and good actor.
There's a lot of like homoerotic stuff in The Lighthouse, which makes sense because that's just what happens when 2 dudes just hang out for too long. But somebody asked Robert Eggers, like, is it supposed to be gay? And he's like, he like said a really vague answer. Somebody asked Robert Pattinson, he's like, oh yeah, definitely. He's like, I think of my character kind of like he's looking for like a daddy. Like, he said that. I'm like, that's so fucking funny. And also pretty true for the film.
Yeah.
Like, the film's pretty fucking gay.
Yeah.
Which is good. Especially, like, there's a scene where they almost...
Yeah.
And then they fight. Oh.
Yeah.
Speaking of like complete polar opposite behaviors kind of thing, the film fucking was wild.
Yeah, it's really great. Highly recommend it.
There's some really great articles about like how they make the film, like the like animal trainer that like trained the seagulls for the film. Robert Eggers.
Yeah, I was watching some interviews with him, and he's like, I hated working with Black Phillip and the Witch.
Yeah,
that was
but
the go.
The seagulls were good or something like that. Like, seagulls were much easier.
Yeah, because it's easier to train a bird than it is a goat. He's like, you cannot train a goat. Don't. Now I know to never make a movie with a goat.
Yeah, again. Remember when we were talking, like, you can tell that immediately after he just went back to doing, like, goat things.
Exactly. Because we did bring that up, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that scene where he hits the logs, and then immediately after, he's just like, I'm a goat.
Yep. No longer menacing, just normal goat.
Yeah.
God, I loved the seagull in this movie. The scene when it first shows up. Yeah. I was in stitches because it's just like standing in front of him and it's just like, it's like laughing at him and shit. Oh man,
yeah.
This movie, man, go see it.
This movie is probably one of the most gorgeous things you can watch this year.
Yeah, it's shot on film. It's
like 45 millimeter black and white film or something. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I don't know the exact aspect ratio, but it's like the classic box.
Yeah, like. Similar to 4x3. I don't know if it's actually 4x3.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's beautiful, though. There's some beautiful shots. And the fucking... I guess I've never seen the inside of a lighthouse before, but that is a gorgeous, like, the like, bulb up there.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Especially in black and white. I'm like, holy shit, I'm gonna come.
Yeah, no, that... you wouldn't be the first.
And there's really crazy... You get to watch... This isn't really a spoiler. You get to watch Robert Pattinson jerk off, like, twice or 3 times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you don't even get to see anything. I remember reading something about like people walking out during that scene. I'm like, you don't even see anything. You see like him doing like
very suggestive.
Yeah, but like it's not like it's like you don't see his dick. So calm down.
I mean, I agree, but if someone was sensitive to that kind of subject, I can imagine that shot obviously setting them off.
I mean, most of these people that are walking out are just...
Yeah.
Guys that are like, I fucking hate men.
Dude, jerking.
I'm sorry, anyone would turn gay for Robert Pattinson. Anyway, that's the Batman. Yeah.
Now he's gonna be Batman. Now that he's jerked off several times on screen.
Yeah. Who was in talks for that movie? Somebody was in talks to play the Penguin recently. Just 2 days ago.
I have no idea.
It's Paul Dano's playing the Riddler.
Yeah, I saw that.
Great.
That's going to be good. I hope that they adapt in the more recent...
Oh, yeah, Colin Farrell's probably going to be playing the Penguin.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm like, huh. Interesting. Not Danny DeVito, but decent. I can see it.
I love Colin Farrell, so yeah. I'm not opposed to it. Wouldn't have been my first choice. I think most people picture the round penguin.
Yeah, and he's pretty short. And Colin Farrell's probably 5'11". He's decently tall.
Yeah.
But he can pull off anything.
But I hope they adapt, because in the newer Batman comics, they did that storyline where it's the Joker and the Riddler have a gang war.
Oh shit!
And I hope that they do something with that.
It's been rumored that it's supposed to be a trilogy. It's supposed to open up to be a trilogy.
Okay.
But this first one's going to be jam-packed. It has the Riddler, it has the Penguin, and it has Catwoman.
I kind of hope it's just a trilogy, because personally,
what do you mean?
The Batman movies, because I don't.
You don't want it to go on after a trilogy kind of thing, or?
Yeah, I guess maybe it could. If I'll judge it when I get to the third installment, I guess. But I think it'd be nice just to have another superhero franchise that kind of just stops after the third one.
Yeah, the Dark Knight trilogy.
Robert Pattinson doesn't seem like one of those actors that would really want to be part of a big ongoing franchise again. Yeah. I mean, maybe he does. I don't want to.
Maybe he fucking. He's no, I'll play Batman till the day I die. And if so, then I'm cool.
I don't want to put words in his mouth or anything. But I did watch some Lighthouse interviews, and he was talking about his requirements for doing the script for doing the Lighthouse, because basically Robert Eggers had approached him with a couple movies before, and Robert Pattinson's let me know when you come up with something really weird. So, and then the Lighthouse.
Yeah, so that's why I'm I wonder how fucking weird the Batman will be.
Hopefully
pretty crazy.
I wanted to ride that nice balanced line. I wanted to have lots of weird stuff. Yeah, but I wanted to feel grounded.
Yeah, exactly. But I want a more creative superhero movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Lighthouse. It's great. And I guess Batman. You should go see it as soon as possible.
Did we say our ratings on?
Oh no, I gave it a 9.
I gave it a 10. So
wow. Yeah, so definitely go see that movie. And we're going to take a little break, and we'll be back to talk about our movie ideas and then 2 movies very shortly. Yeetah. The snack that smiles back.
Goldfish.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. We took a little break. My roommate had to take a shower, and we didn't want it to sound like there was a waterfall in the background. But we're back. We're talking about movie ideas. Thomas, you got one? You want me to go first?
You go first while I quickly try to think of one.
Okay. Are you familiar with the Paris catacombs at all?
A little bit.
They go on
underground, yeah.
Miles. People have gotten lost and died in them.
before.
It's about what I've
There's been, I think, there's only been like 2 horror movies about it.
As Above,
So Below, and one I think called just Catacombs, and they've been bad.
I watched one on a Fear Night when I was a kid. I think that was Catacombs, because
I'm sure there's been a couple more, but
Yeah.
it's something that hasn't been explored that much, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But I think it was in like 2004, there was a secret underground cinema found in the catacombs.
What the fuck?
Like, there were seats carved into the stone. There was working electricity. There were payphones. There was like a projector. And like, there was a note that said, "Don't look for us." And this is all real. This has actually happened. The police found this. And just the idea that there's either a secret group that meets down there or people that live. There are homeless people that live in the catacombs. But the idea that there's a secret group that might be living down there is fascinating and kind of horrifying. And I think that would be a great film to watch. There's been a couple people that have just got lost, they partied in the catacombs and got lost and then died because they couldn't find their way out because it's pitch black down there if you're not near the lights.
Yeah. I saw something, there was that one dude who was recording on camera or whatever, and they get to the point, eventually he ends up dropping his camera and the battery ends up dying. But I remember seeing stuff about that.
Just even just making a movie about somebody who gets lost in the catacombs and experiences different things and then winding up finding this secret group or whatever, I think would be a great movie.
I don't know why, but I pictured a ragtag Taika Waititi type group of New Zealanders. Hey, what's up?
We live here.
This is my dad. Hey, this is my son. I don't know.
But yeah, that's my idea. I've been wanting to make something about the Paris catacombs for quite a while because it's so fascinating.
Yeah, it's a really interesting subject,
and I don't think it's explored enough in cinema at all. So, Okay, what's your idea that you just made up, even though you had 2 weeks to think of one?
Okay, so it's an anthology film.
Cool, I'm in. Can I make one up?
Sure.
Cool.
And basically, let's say it's cut up into 4 half-hour chunks, 2-hour movie, whatever.
Okay.
And each half an hour follows the home life of a different denomination of Christianity, and it kind of explores and compares and contrasts the extreme differences in between what more or less is pretty much the same religion, just
the same
different interpretations.
Different branches of it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I don't know.
Horror film?
I mean, it'll definitely have
scary elements.
Scary elements.
More like a drama or kind of a slice of life kind of drama thing.
Yeah, kind of something like that with some probably some religious commentary.
Would it just kind of be different days, or would it kind of be maybe similar events each happen in each of them, and it's how they deal with these events, or would they be pretty different stories for each one?
I picture it would probably take place in all one town.
They're all neighbors.
And maybe something really political happens in the town, an abortion clinic shutting down, or something akin to that, and seeing how each different denomination kind of reacts to that and how it relates to what's in the Bible and whether the Bible should be taken as a viable source for morality in the first place. I don't know. Just throwing stuff at the wall here.
Okay. Sounds interesting. I'm in.
All right.
Very epic indeed. Okay, we're an hour in. We got through all that jazz. Let's talk about the movies we watched. It's been a week since we watched them,
yes.
but I remember most of it.
Yeah, I remember the big plot points.
The first one, 1977, Steven Spielberg. 1970.
It's same year as Star Wars.
Yeah. Close Encounters of the Trace Kind.
Do you still think that A New Hope is the best sci-fi movie of 77?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Does House count?
Like House Who?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
It's not sci-fi in any way, but...
That's why I said I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
There's a cat in it. It's kind of sci-fi.
Yeah, cats are from outer space.
Yeah. So, if that's the case, House Who's.
Okay. You heard it here. House Who, best sci-fi movie of 77.
Of all time.
Of all time.
Suspiria count?
I don't see why not. Witches are science.
It's a fiction movie.
Science fiction.
They dance. Dance is a science.
That's true. You can recreate the same effect by doing multiple tests of the dance. I don't know.
Anyway, you wanna talk a bit about this film?
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened?
Yeah, I remember. It begins with basically I don't know. I think this happens in America, but they find a bunch of airplanes that are in perfect condition. That
it's actually in Mexico.
Oh, is it in Mexico?
Yeah, but it's
okay. I remember
it's in North America.
Okay.
Yeah, they find a squadron of World War II airplanes that disappeared 30 years earlier.
Yeah, and they're in perfect condition. And then we basically cut to the main film, or the main character of the film, which is Richard Dreyfuss.
Wait, you forgot about the other thing that happens right at the beginning. There's the air traffic control thing, where there's a plane that's trying to drive, and they're there's something that's gonna hit, and they narrowly misses, and it's a UFO, and they're I don't know what I would report.
Yeah, I remember that part.
But then it jumps into Richard Dreyfuss,
and he lives a pretty I'd say it appears to be a lower middle class life. He's got a lot of kids. He's got 3 to 4 of them?
I think 3.
Yeah. And it looks like it's a pretty small house.
Kind of sexy.
Yeah, the kids are all messing around, and him and his wife are they're not fighting in this scene, are they? They might be.
It's more nagging. They're not really fighting.
Yeah. But basically he quickly gets a call from his job, and they're we want you to go survey the area, because he does cartography of some sort.
Yeah.
And while he is out doing that, he notices a glowing light surrounding his truck, and he's what the fuck? And then he looks up, and it's a big UFO just flying above him.
Yeah, his car loses all power. He's right in front of a train track too.
Yeah.
And loses all power, and then everything starts shaking, and just every encounter with the aliens in this movie is amazingly done, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's all really well done.
It's the lighting is really ethereal and otherworldly, and everything everything's kind of scary when the original alien encounters, at least.
Yeah.
At least it's framed that way. It's
The thought I had while I was watching it, because I have seen this before, obviously, and I was once it got to that final sequence, I'm man, I wonder if audiences in 1977 thought before this movie hit pop culture and all that, I wonder if they thought there was a huge chance that these aliens were just gonna start doing the typical alien thing where it's pew pew pew, Mars Attacks kind of shit, where they start firing lasers and abducting people and shit like that. But
they do abduct some people. Right around this time, during this time, there's also a little boy who, right at the beginning of the movie, he hears something playing in his kitchen, and he goes down, and he's la la la, and then he just starts running outside. He's oh, and his mom looks out his window. She wakes up.
Oh my god!
To find her son, and then she just looks out the window, and he's just outside the field, la la la, and then he just starts running off, and she starts running after him.
Yeah. And she finally catches up to her son.
Right as Richard Dreyfuss almost runs him the fuck over.
And he gets out of his car. He's like, holy shit, I'm sorry. He came out of nowhere. Yeah. Which, I mean, I'd say he was in the right in that situation. The kid did kind of come out of fucking nowhere. In the middle
of the night, you don't really expect a child to start running in the middle of the road and at a bend, too. I'm like, oh! And I'm like, what if they just killed the kid?
Well,
pretty much, like, there's a bunch of people, like, around that have, like, that saw the spacecraft, and they see it again.
Yeah, and it, like, flies by, and it's a real, like, they get a real good look at it, and they're all like, whoa, awesome. And then, time to try to revert back to daily life, and Richard Dreyfuss's wife does not believe... Well, I guess I skipped over the scene where he comes home and immediately he's like, wake up!
Yeah. He's like, he like can't even really explain what he saw. He's like, I saw a thing.
And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Why is your face half sunburned?
Yeah, like all the people that experienced it like got from the like intense like lights like got burnt.
By the way, sorry, I'm chewing on a gobstopper, so if my speech sounds weird sometimes. Weirder than usual. It's because I've got a gobstopper in my mouth.
He's got a big cock in his mouth.
Oh, there we go.
Here we go.
Oh.
Yeah, so he just starts becoming, like, obsessed with UFOs, with,
he starts carving this, like, mountain shape.
Yeah, him, the lady, and the son, because, like, he goes back the next night to the location where they all, like, saw the spacecraft.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of people in there, yeah.
And, he's like, there's like a scene earlier where he's shaving and he tries like making the shape out of shaving cream. Yeah. And when he gets to that location later in the night, hold on, I'm gonna fucking swallow what I've got in my mouth real quick. Okay. Nice refreshing drink. But yeah, so basically he sees that like the kid is like building that same shape, and he's like, holy shit, I've been seeing that shape. And then, like, him and the mom both kind of start helping out with it a little bit. And this is where I need to pull up the synopsis, because I'm getting a little foggy here.
They're mostly just, it's the same thing. They're getting obsessed with the mountain. Meanwhile, they cuts to these, like, scientists that have been working on stuff. Truffaut is one of them.
Yeah.
Which was very strange. I'm like, what's his name? Francois Truffaut? Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced. I know how it's spelled, just not how it's pronounced.
It's Francois. I just couldn't remember if that was the name or not. But they're investigating stuff at the same time. They talk to these people like in India.
Yeah.
Where there's the UFOs were emitting like a certain sequence, and the scientists start shooting it out into space to like get a response. And then the scientist, one of the scientists who used to be a cartographer, like recognizes the numbers, finds out that it's Devil's Tower, Wyoming. Yeah.
And so yeah, they go to set up shop there, and then
they make a bunch of false reports, being like, "Oh, there's nerve gas, there's a train wreck." Like they evacuate everyone.
Yeah. And
then Jillian, which is the woman whose son Billy saw the alien originally. The aliens come back. This is the scene that like is the most horror-esque scene.
For sure.
Legitimately is kind of at least scary in execution. Billy the aliens pretty much attack their home.
Yeah, he runs outside again, and it's like the kind of same thing, except like there's a glowing red light, and
so she pulls them in, and there's things like trying to get into the house.
And then he ends up just going through the doggy door, and she's like, no!
And then he's gone.
Yeah, and she goes outside, and you can see, like, the fucking, like, storm clouds in the distance, because that's kind of like how they, like, I assume, kind of hide from plain sight until they, like, arrive at the spot that they want to get into, is that they, like, put up this big storm cloud around them, I guess. That, or it's just naturally occurring based off whatever technology they use. I don't know. Whatever's going on with that.
So she loses her son, she starts being like, the aliens took him, and people don't believe her, and she's like, they took him!
Yeah.
And then meanwhile, Roy, our main character, is going more insane, and even to the point where he's like telling his wife he needs help, and I'm just gonna say it, his wife is the worst person I've ever seen.
I have similar thoughts.
She's awful.
Yeah,
but he like starts going more insane, and he starts making a mountain out of like dirt in his house.
Well, that's kind of after.
Well, he starts
because he starts off because like he's got like this little like clay model in his basement that he's been working on in the last like few scenes that we've seen him, and then it gets to the point where he's like, "I need help, honey. I'm actually like clinically going insane here. I don't know what's going on." And she's basically like, fuck you, you don't care about this family. And he's like, I need help, I believe in aliens. And then he ends up like, something ends up, I can't remember exactly what it is, but he sees like
TV?
Yeah, he sees, I think, it on the TV.
And then that...
No, that's after he builds it.
He sees
something outside. I know he like gets that urge. He's like, I need that chicken wire from the neighbor's fence.
He rips out the chicken wire.
He's like, I'll buy you a new fence. I just need this right now.
Yeah. So, and he like throws it inside, and then he starts grabbing all the fucking plants from the potted plants and throwing them inside.
Yeah, he's just throwing shit through his window.
Some of his son, like his little son, like grabs a brick and is like, I'll help him. Throws it in.
And of course, the wife gathers up all the kids.
And she just leaves, and I'm like, what a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Like, I understand, like, if you think you need to take the kids, but she doesn't come back. Like, she doesn't come to help her at all. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just like, oh, okay.
So he's doing that. Eventually, he does, like, see the, I think he meets up with Jillian again, and then they see it together or something on the television.
Yeah. And basically, they end up, like, finding this whole group of
They
people.
see the same... they're not watching it, but they see that, like, the train wreck was near there. The train wreck that was made up. And they are like, we gotta go there.
Yeah, so they do. And there's, like, a group of people that also go there.
And they try to make it in, but everyone's leaving the town. So they're like, the only way we're gonna make it in is if we go cross country. So they just, like, break through a fence and start driving in.
Yeah. And eventually they wind up on the mountains, and everyone else except for Jillian and Roy end up like falling asleep because they like used fucking like
nerve gas, like little.
Yeah, it's like a powder or something that they like sprinkle.
Sleep powder.
They used it on like all the farm animals that we saw.
Because there were other people that had like snuck in to try to see the aliens that had seen the aliens originally, but they make it in. They make it to the base.
Yep.
And then they see, like, pretty much the aliens come.
Yeah, the climax of the movie
This scene is, like, the whole, like, last, like, 20 minutes are, like, the aliens coming, and it's, like, crazy.
Yeah, it's the most iconic stuff from the film, for sure.
But the aliens land, they let go, like, all the people they had. So, like, people that have been gone for, like, 30 years that haven't aged. Billy, the little boy, runs out.
Yeah.
And then Roy is like, oh! Still going crazy, and he's like, I just wish I could go up there. And then Truffaut is like, oh, we need to let him go up. And they do. They're like, okay.
Yeah.
They suit him up. There's a bunch of like,
it's like, how tall are you? And he's like, oh, I'm this tall. He's like, oh, I envy you.
But there's a bunch of like astronauts that have been training to go to like with the aliens. Because the aliens are like nice.
Yeah.
And they're trying to open a dialogue with them,
but basically,
then they let Roy go, and the film ends with him like going onto the ship, and being like, "See you."
And I brought this a little earlier off mic when we were like taking.
Yeah, what's the part you don't like?
So it's not necessarily like like I said, it doesn't like ruin the movie for me, but in terms of like character internal logic and how I feel like the characters should be acting. Yeah, I get the wife is bad, but Roy is just like, yeah, I'll go on the alien ship. Yeah, totally. And has like no sort of like fucking second thoughts.
No,
yeah, because I understand like the wife like, yeah, whatever. Fuck the wife. She's a bitch.
But
he's got 3 kids.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm like, and I think probably he's probably been like thinking about this since he like started to drive there. He's like, what if they let me? Like kind of. There's always that thing.
That would have been fine if they had shown us something to indicate that. But
I just mean like he in his mind, he's probably thinking like, first of all, nobody's going to believe me about aliens. And so, like, my wife just... Because you've seen the wife, he probably would never be able to see his kids anyway, is what I was thinking from that scene. So I'm like, whatever. He's going.
Possibly.
Also, like, because he had, like, seen these aliens, he had such a, like, obsession that I've never seen before. Like... an obsession that's way more obsessed than most people kind of thing. So it made sense to me, but I get where you're coming from. I was still like fine with it though.
Yeah. That was my gripe. That and I don't like that him and Jill, like that kiss part. Like it came completely out of fucking nowhere. And it even looked like the character of Jill was like, what the fuck? I guess.
It felt like something that only happened because it was like the 70s.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, I guess these two have been romantically interested the whole movie, even though we gave no...
No, those two things were probably like my only issues. I fucking loved this film.
But yeah, other than that, I thought it was pretty great.
Yeah, I was such a huge fan of this film. Like I said, I really loved the shots of it, especially all the alien encounters. I thought they looked great. And even like the special effects look pretty great for being that old.
Like, they're pretty well done.
Even, like, the little alien designs are pretty good. Like, they're pretty fun.
They know how to, like, obscure them just right in the light to where they, like, you don't see them in their full entirety, and you're like, oh, that looks totally fake, but it's just, like, the right camera tricks to make it look real, and it still looks pretty good even to this day.
No, I was blown away. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's not a super deep film. There's not like a whole lot to like really cover with it.
It's mostly just like...
It's a really well-grounded alien movie that doesn't focus on conflict. That's one of the things I really like about this movie.
And honestly, I fucking love the soundtrack, the score. It's John Williams, and he's the man, he's great. But this was one of my favorite John Williams scores as well. This is one of my favorite Spielberg films as well. I was blown away, like, by pretty much everything.
Yeah, I think that this movie's better than most of his, like, acclaimed, like, classics. Like, I probably like this one more, probably a little bit more than I like Jaws. And I'd say out of his 2 Alien movies, I prefer this vastly over E.T.
Yeah, I don't really like E.T.
Yeah, I haven't watched it since I was a kid, but I don't really care.
My brother's afraid of E.T.
Is he?
Like, he was really afraid of, like, he thought E.T. was scary, like, in the look of E.T. And even now, he's, like, thinks it's gross. He, like, doesn't...
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's understandable. He's fucking gross looking.
Yeah, it's not a pleasant looking alien, for sure.
Which is kind of the point, but...
Yeah. And then, of course, Steven Spielberg's latest run-in with aliens. I assume his latest run-in with aliens. I haven't watched every Steven Spielberg movie to come out recently, but Crystal Skull, which was also partly George Lucas.
Oh, I thought you meant Ready Player One.
Were there aliens in that? I didn't watch it.
I mean, I guess, just because you can have you can be whatever you want, so I'm sure there were aliens.
Video game aliens.
We're gaming. Francois Truffaut.
Galileans.
Yeah, and I haven't seen a ton of Steven Spielberg's works, but this might be my favorite. Either this or like maybe Minority Report. I do love The Terminal.
I think my favorite is Schindler's List.
I still haven't seen Schindler's List.
Yeah. We'll have to fix that eventually.
Yeah.
That one's really, really good. But yeah.
I gave this movie a 9. Like I said, I was pretty blown away by I'm so glad you picked this. I was like, wow. Especially like the last half an hour, most of the movie I was like, this is like really good. This is like an 8. And then the last half an hour, just because of how like bizarre and like really creative and like it was. I was like, this is great. And this is a lot more bizarre than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And
So it went up to a 9 for me personally.
Yeah, I figured you'd enjoy this one. This one's an 8 for me. But
cool. 8.5. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I said, most of it was an 8 for me, but like in that last half hour, I was like, yes. And I'm glad that I watched the director's cut, because the second version of the film that came out, there were technically 3. There was the theatrical, and then there was one that I think it was like the DVD or the original release for it. They added a scene that showed the inside of the spaceship.
okay. Huh.
As like a selling point, and Steven Spielberg was like, I fucking hated that.
Yeah.
Like he's like, that was a terrible mistake. So like the third version, the one we watched, had a couple of the other things that were added, but it took out that part.
Okay.
And like that's good. It like I agree that showing the inside would be a waste.
Yeah. It's kind of like
It loses the mystery.
Kind of like when they made Halloween back in the 70s, and then it was just like a straight film, or the normal film, and then they did like the TV version, which introduced the plot, because they're like, we need a couple more minutes for the TV version. Come on, John, why don't you come in and film a scene or two? He's like, fine. And then he ended up creating the plot thread that he soon regretted, which is that Laurie Strode being Michael Myers' sisters, which lived on throughout like all the sequels, which they kind of took back with the most recent sequel. But yeah, that's where that originated from the TV version.
Should have just made a 3-minute scene with Michael Myers just like jerking it.
I mean,
that would have
been weird. But yeah. So yeah, 8.5 average.
Pretty great.
Yeah, pretty good. If you've never seen it before, check it out.
Yeah. And it's not super long. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds
like
right.
it's a film.
Yeah.
2 hours and 15 minutes exactly. But it's worth it, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Other film we watched was a Russian film by let me try to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Andrei Zviaginstev.
Alright. I apologize to any Russian people who might be listening and just
if you can tell me the pronunciation, I would love that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Wow. This movie was fucking depressing.
Yes, welcome to Nate. One of the between this and Antichrist. I think Antichrist is a little more depressing throughout, but then it ends on at least a more somber, like melancholy note. Not really super sad.
Yeah.
This ends brutally sad.
Yeah.
So welcome to a film that is pretty sad for the whole thing, but it really gets sad about halfway through. About halfway through, a bunch of stuff starts to happen, and then it just never really stops happening.
Yeah, because before I watched it, London sent me a message that went, this whole movie is just a bruh moment. And then he followed it up with a series of bruh moments. I'm like, okay.
Well, yeah, at first I said, whoa, dude, like halfway through the movie, there's a big bruh moment. And then after I finished it, I'm just like, just kidding. After the halfway point, the whole movie's a bruh moment.
Yeah, and it's like, it really is, because it starts off with like one little oof, and by the end of the movie, you're like, oh my god, I don't feel alive right now.
So, the movie's about this family. The 3 main characters are Kolya. He's like a car mechanic. He's hot-headed. He's got a temper, but he seems like a pretty reasonable guy for the most part.
Yeah.
He's flawed, but he's trying.
Yeah.
Then he has his second wife, Lilia. And then he has his son, his teenage son, who he had with his first wife, who is passed. She was dead, right?
Yeah.
And his name is Roma.
Yeah.
And they're trying to live. The teenage son disrespects the wife a lot because he's a dick, I guess.
Yes. Stepmom.
Yeah. He doesn't like that he moved on so fast kind of thing, and but the whole
idea is that the mayor of the town, they live in a small town, the mayor's crooked, and...
Oh, what's the mayor's name? It's like
Mayor Vadim.
Vadim, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what he did is he pretty much is making them sell the land for much less than it's worth.
Yeah. And he's saying
to the state. Like, he's saying that it's for the town. It's for him.
Be a community center.
He's saying that it's, like, through legally, it's them selling to the state, but then he's going to make it, like, his own personal house.
Yeah.
And this is a house that, like, the mechanic is, like, built from the ground up with his own hands.
Yeah.
Like, really important.
Built it with his first wife.
And he's, like, giving them the same amount of, like, money as, like, I looked it up. It's like $5,000.
Oof.
Even like the high end, like the things that the lawyer said he could get them.
Yeah.
That was only like $50,000.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ. But so he gets this friend of his in who, like, he went to,
he's
like,
from Moscow.
Yeah, I think they went to, like, or they were in the army
together. Yeah.
But then he lives in Moscow. He's this big lawyer, and he's kind of he's friends with the family. He comes and visits every once in a while, and he's gonna try to help them. So he has he got a bunch of dirt on Vadim.
Oh man, this is his first mistake.
Which one?
Where he gets a bunch of dirt on Vadim.
Yeah, so he gets a bunch of dirt on him. So they go to trial first.
Yep.
And the fucking judge speed talking was fucking crazy.
All right, this happens, like, I can't even replicate it.
It's like,
of course it's in Russian, so it sounds just like even faster.
If you've heard somebody at an auction, like an auctioneer.
Yeah, it's
that fast, but it's a judge talking about a ruling, pretty much.
Yep, just getting through the facts and then... All right, here we go. And, he doesn't succeed.
Yeah. So, Dima, which is the friend, they don't succeed, but he's like, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to go talk to the dude, Vadim. Meanwhile, Kolya gets arrested because they go to the police station to try to, like, do some stuff. And he gets arrested at the police station for yelling. He doesn't even really yell.
He just kind of raises his voice.
Yeah, like the guy's, like, off to doing something. Like, he walks off without even telling them where he's going. He's like, hey, what are you doing over there? They're like, arrest this man. I'm like, what the fuck? Yep. Obviously, this whole town is incredibly corrupt.
Oh, yeah. What the fuck?
So, Dima...
Yeah, so
goes to Vadim, and he's like, hey, look at this dirt I have on you.
Yeah, look at all this. And Vadim's like,
fuck. He pretty much is like, fuck.
Yeah.
And he gets Kolya to be, like, released. And then he goes to Lilia's house, and he fucks her.
Yes, but there's two things. Because he agrees to get Kolya released, and then he also agrees to get a bigger, like, he gets Vadim to agree to give Kolya a larger sum of money.
Yeah.
Just to kind of like, hey, we're blackmailing you. You know, you can still have the fucking piece of property. Just give him some more of what it's worth. If you're gonna fucking be a piece of shit like that. And he's like, of course, I'll get him out of jail and I'll give you the extra money. And then the friend goes to fuck Kolya's wife.
Yeah. So they fought.
What's her name again?
Lilia.
Yeah.
Dima?
Dima, Lilia, Kolya, and then Roma and Vadim.
So,
and then I don't remember the father's name, but so something we've left out. It's not like super important, like in terms of like where the plot goes. But Vadim goes and talks with the father, I don't know what the term for that exact branch.
Oh, there's like a priest that they talk to a decent amount, who's also pretty corrupt.
Yeah.
Everybody's corrupt. So then, Kolya, even though the cops are pretty much all corrupt, Kolya helps them a lot. He, like, helps fix their cars for free.
Yeah.
And he was doing that, and one of the cops invited him out to this outing.
Yeah.
Where they were going shooting for his birthday. So they're like, okay, let's go.
Shooting bottles, not animals.
shooting.
That point is specifically made.
Yeah. So they go... This is about when the bruh moment's about to happen.
Yep. Well, the big bruh moment that changes. There was a couple before. Like,
this is the one where
when Kolya slapped his kid in...
Yeah, Kolya slaps his kid in the back of the head early on in the film.
And I was like, oh, is this man an awful person? But I'm just like, maybe that's like a Russian custom? Like,
yeah, that was kind of the thing where I was leaning. I'm like, all right.
I think that was more of just the hot-headedness. It's still not a good thing to do. I do think that Kolya's leaning on being a bad person, but I think it's more like from being very poor and being constantly fucked by the government.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of like my thought process when I saw that. I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I like this character. I'm like, that's probably not as big of a deal in Russia, but I mean, obviously, I still don't agree with, like, hitting your kids, but...
But he never does it again.
Yeah, he doesn't do it again. He just hits other people.
Yeah.
Which we're about to get to.
So they're all drinking, having a good time. It's there's two cops. There's one of the cops has a wife that's like pretty good friends with the family.
What? I'm gonna look up their names.
Yeah, figure out.
They have a scene later on that I really liked.
But so yeah, you figure out their names. But they're all hanging out. It's them. The Roma's there. It's those two, the couple's kids. They have a couple kids. Dima's there, Lilia's there, and Kolya's there. So they're shooting. They're having a good time. Dima and Lilia aren't anywhere to be found, though.
Yeah, weird.
It's like, what? What's going on?
And then one of the kids.
So they're getting drunker and shooting, and they have guns. And then one of the kids comes back, and they're like, Dima's
freaking out. He's like, oh my god!
I saw that man. He was like
choking.
Yeah, he was choking her. And for a second, I'm like, at first I thought, oh my god, is he actually like hurting her? Like, did she say she was going to say something or something? But
yeah. And then quickly you're like, oh wait.
Yeah. So Kolya goes and runs after them while he still has his gun.
Yeah.
And then we don't know what the fuck. Yeah, we hear shots and we're like, oh. And we have no idea what happens.
Yep.
And that was I'm like, what the fuck? Because that was not where I was expecting. I thought something was going to happen because I wasn't expecting I wasn't even expecting Dima and Lilia to be having sex before they started. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? Where did this come from?
Yeah. I guess I'll save that thought for the end of this because it'll kind of lean on context for stuff that's coming up. But,
okay.
Yeah, so
Kolya goes back to the house with...
Pasha is the one...
Is that the lady? Or is that the guy?
That's the guy.
The guy.
And,
Pasha and his wife...
Anzela, I think is how you pronounce it.
Anzela, yeah. Something like that.
It's Anzhela. So, Pasha and Anzela.
So they're pretty interesting characters.
No, I guess some... Dmitri, is that how you pronounce the friend's name, the lawyer from Moscow? What were we saying his name?
I think it's, like, they say Dima. Like, that's...
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay. The whole movie, I was like, oh, Dmitri, because obviously, my American Western brain changed it to that, but, Dima, okay. Okay.
So...
Now that we've got that straightened out.
After that, we find out that Kolya just beat the shit out of Dima. Like, he just beat him up. He didn't actually shoot him.
He also hit, Lilia, too.
Yeah, he hit both of them. Which, not okay, but...
Yeah. Nothing that goes on in this movie is okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of everyone's sad.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of...
Everyone's depressed and angry.
So, Lilia's out. Kolya's sitting at home with Pasha and Alzea. Anzela. And they're just all like drinking more, and I'm like, this is a bad idea. He's an extreme alcoholic.
Yeah, and he says that like he'll kill her at some point, which is bad. Not good.
And then Dima is still trying to help them a little bit. He's at least going to pick up the money from Vadim. So Vadim picks him up, and I'm like, this
rookie
is a terrible
fucking
idea.
mistake.
And
he's like, come on, get it, trust me.
He at least says, if I'm not back in an hour, like he says that he has somebody watching. He doesn't, but they take him out and they take him to the middle of nowhere and they pretended like that they're gonna shoot him. Yeah. Like they pull out a real gun and he's like,
I'm fairly convinced that if he didn't play along, they probably would have.
Yeah, but then he shot right next to him and then just left him there.
Yep.
And then, so he immediately just gets on a train and goes home.
Exactly.
Like,
that's the last time we see... Oh, that's not the last time we see him, because there's that scene leading up to that, where we see him in the hotel room with, Lilia? Yeah. Lilia. One last time, and he basically, like, asks her to go to Moscow with him, and, she declines?
Yeah, so
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but then he goes home, pretty much. And then we don't see him again. Lilia goes home, and they reconcile pretty much.
Yeah, they're
at least mostly. But then they start packing to move out, and then they get into a big sex in the basement.
Yes, and
like passionate sex.
This was a scene because I was going through the Wikipedia synopsis last night just to kind of like refresh my memory on the movie, and they say he rapes her in that scene, and I went back. I'm like, did he? And it definitely looks like it could be. But based on her like reaction in the next scene, I don't know if it was, because he essentially like they're down in the basement and they're packing boxes, and he just like spontaneously like just starts like kissing her, and like it definitely starts off very rapey. I will give it that much. If I end up like I don't know where I side on this, but it's definitely like he grabs her by the face. She looks panicked for a second, but then it looks like she kind of like settles down as like the kiss develops a couple seconds in. And then the next shot we see of them, we don't even see their faces. We just see that it's like, he's got her like bent over one of the shelves. And then,
I didn't get the rape from that scene. Like, I just thought it was more a passionate thing. If that's what they were going for, that changes my outlook on things.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm standing. That's why I brought it up, because I'm like, was it? I don't know. And the next scene, because like when Roma like comes down the stairs.
Roma comes down and
they both like stop because she's like moving her arm a little bit, and it almost looks like, because I like looked back at the scene, it almost looks like she's like got her hand on his thigh. I don't know if that's just like a support thing or if she's trying to like push him off, but as soon as like they both hear Roma, they both like stop, and she puts her hand on the shelf, and then he quickly flicks off the lights. And then the next scene, they're sitting at the table, and she's like, she looks content. She puts her
and I don't think, there's always, like...
So, because of that next
survivor's
scene,
guilt, I guess. Like, that could be a thing, but it just... It isn't framed that way, at least from my perspective, but maybe I have to rewatch that, but...
Yeah.
I guess that changes it doesn't change how I think the movie is, but it changes how I think of the characters, obviously. But...
Yeah,
that's an interesting thing that I'll have to look more into.
Yeah, that was something that kind of caught me off guard, and it changed, like, if it is true, it vastly changes what...
My outlook on the character of Kolya, actually.
The outlook on the character and the outlook on the ending. Because I don't know if you got the same thing from the ending I did, but I definitely got a real kind of open to interpretation, ambiguous... on the matter that's about to come up. Which is basically after that scene, they're at that table. He's like venting about like, oh, this is shitty. Like, I can't believe we have to fucking lose the house or whatever. And then, fucking Roma comes home and he basically is like just straight up to his room because they're like, where the fuck have you been? We've been worried about you. And he's just like, fuck off, and goes up to his room, and then they go up and they're like, what's wrong with you? And he's like, fuck Lilia. She's the reason why all this shit's happening. She's terrible. I fucking hate her. And, yeah, obviously she didn't like that very much because she's up late at night, just kind of goes into the bathroom and starts sobbing. And then, we left out another scene, which happened, like, in between, like, it's, like, the day after, at least shown to be, like, the day after the initial cheat, where she goes to work and, her friend on Zayla basically was like, so did he ask you to run away with Moscow? And basically, Lilia lets her know that she's not amused by her reaction. She's just kind of, like, silent.
Yeah.
And then we see her, like, leaving, and, like, it kind of looks like she's going the same route that she does to get to work. But then we see her, and she keeps going. And she ends up just kind of, like, standing at this, like, cliff's edge over the ocean. And she's just kind of, like, staring at the vastness of it. And then a whale pops up, and she kind of looks at it. And we cut away, and
the next morning...
there's basically
basically it's the next day. She's not at work, pretty much. He's been trying to call her or something, and he tries to pick her up. She's not.
I figured it was later that day because I thought that.
Oh yeah, that was in the morning,
like super early in the morning.
Yeah. So later that day, she's not anywhere. He thought she was at work. She's not there.
Yeah, he goes to pick her up at work, and her friend's basically like, she's not here. He's like, what the fuck? And so he's basically just like, whatever. Gives the friend a ride home. And he ends up going to... he ends up just getting drunk again. And he ends up, like, going to his son's hangout. Because his son, like, hangs out at, like, this abandoned church. It's an abandoned church, I think. I don't quite remember, but just like a hoodlum spot where a bunch of young boys get together and smoke and drink and shit like that. And basically he shows up and he's like, oh, is Roma here? And they're like, no, he went home like 20 minutes ago. And the dad like kind of drinks there for a while. And then he like goes home. Roma's there, and Roma's basically like, you gotta quit drinking, Dad. He's like, I'll stop tomorrow. Do you believe me? And the kid's basically like, fuck off. And he's like, alright, come on. Can we have a talk, please? And Roma's like, no, I'm going out. So, Dad, Kolia, is like, naturally, drinks a little more. And then, yeah, I think this is what leads into the next scene where, gets a knock
Pasha.
at the door.
Is that his name, Pasha?
It's not Pasha who knocks at the door, but Pasha's the friend.
No, I thought it was Pasha.
No, there's that scene where Pasha and his wife are talking, and she's like, she didn't come to work today. Do you think? I mean, he did say he was going to kill her. And he's like, no.
Yeah.
You're crazy. What? This drunk guy who said he was going to kill his wife and she goes missing all of a sudden? What? Yeah, Pasha and on Zayla. But yeah, basically, some dudes just fucking barge right in. Turns out they're part of a homicide. Detectives. I know that's not what it's called. I'm just tired. They're homicide detectives. They come in, they arrest him, and they basically like sit him down at the jail, and they're like, "Hey, guess what? We found your Oh, wait. No, I jumped way the fuck ahead of here. You're right. There is that scene where it is Pasha.
Yeah, Pasha shows up and he's
and
like, hey,
drives him to see... Okay, yeah, I forgot about that part. Yeah,
and
Pasha drives him to see the body.
Her dead body's on the beach.
Yeah, and he mourns over it for a while.
Yeah. And then
it's the drinking stuff. Okay, yeah, I skipped that. My bad. Anyway. So yeah, jump forward here. Now it's... They find the body... and they're like, yeah, we think you did it because, there is a giant gash on the back of her head that kind of the shape of it lines up with a hammer that you have here on the property. We're going to check. We're pretty sure that we're going to find out that she was raped right before she died, which he did have sex with her hours before she died. So, I mean, in terms of evidence...
Yeah.
It'll look like that, and perhaps maybe it was like that. I don't know. That scene was super weird and hard to tell. But
well, especially, like, that's why, especially, like, it seemed like it wasn't. It was just the police that were like, we're going to say it was, like, that's what made
I had 3 trains of thought. My initial thought is, it was, fucking, what's the mayor's name again? Vadim. It was Vadim. He had some of his men, like, kill her and just use a fucking hammer from his property. And, like, obviously he's got the political power to, like, work around it. He's done shit like this before. So I'm like, it was Vadim. And then, I quickly had the thought, oh, shit, what if it's to fucking Roma? That would kind of make sense. The hammer from their property. I mean, he goes off and, like, kind of goes to the same general area of, like, that Dead Sea, because there's that scene earlier where he goes and, like, breaks down crying next to the fucking whale skeleton that's there on the rock.
Or she could have just actually killed herself.
Or she could have just actually killed herself and then hit her head on a rock that just so happened.
Like, when he saw the body, it didn't look like she had blunt force trauma. So it
would have been on the back of her head.
Well, that's why I thought that it was just the autopsy person lying.
That's also...
Like, because of Vadim.
That is also a possibility. I don't know, like, if they, depending on how corrupt the system is, if they would need that hammer that they were, like, supposedly, like, lining it up with and to do a forensic test on it to see, hey, does this hammer actually have any sort of forensic evidence of, like, blood, hair, skin
just seemed like the entire town was working for Vadim for the most part, so it's just like, they were fucked no matter what.
Oh, fuck, we forgot one more scene. There's also that scene where fucking he talks to the church guy, the priest. Yeah, Kolya. It's the day before he gets arrested. He's like at a grocery store, and the priest is like getting bread. And basically he's like, well, where the fuck is your God? And he tells him the story.
He's like, well, you haven't been in church. And he's like, what the would that have
my mattered? God's got me. Where's your God?
Would that have mattered if I came to church? Would my wife be back? Would she be alive again?
Yeah, guess what? The Bible says jack shit about actually going to church. Yeah. So, but, and then he tells him the story of Job, which, has Leviathan in it. That's where Leviathan comes from. The famous sea monster that's got, like, the indestructible scales and, like, circles around the earth.
The villain of Final Fantasy X.
Yeah. And, basically, he tells him the story of Job. If you're not familiar with the story of Job, to sum it up, God and Satan have a bet, because Satan basically is like just chilling with God, I guess, in heaven. And
yeah, they just do that.
He's like...
There's like...
yeah. It's like, hey, this guy Job, he really likes you, doesn't he? Wouldn't it, I bet he wouldn't like you if he didn't have all this great fucking shit, though. And God's like, oh, yeah? Watch it. And then he just fucking kills, like, Job's entire family and, like, destroys his house, fucking, like, plagues his farm or whatever. I don't know. I haven't read this chunk right here. I just know, it, like, through pop culture. And,
And it pretty much, it parallels the main character of the movie.
Yeah, because he loses his house, loses his wife, his best friend.
And then the movie ends.
And he technically loses his son too, I guess.
Yeah, here's what the last few scenes are. He goes to prison for 10 years, probably.
They sentenced him to 15, yeah. But Dean gets a call.
Like, maybe he'll be more complacent when he gets out. And then Roma is just like living by himself in like the abandoned house.
Yeah,
and then Pasha and Anzela,
yeah.
They come and they're like, we're gonna adopt you.
If you want, do you want us to adopt you? Otherwise you're going to the state. I think of you as family. And he agrees. And I'm like,
you sent my dad to prison, you...
It wasn't him specifically. It was because he wasn't part of the trio that came and arrested him.
No, but Anzela and Pasha were the ones that told the police that, like, they did testify that they're like, yep.
I wasn't sure if that was necessarily hit them or if it was, like, insinuated that it might have been, like, one of the other, like, police officers that was there.
No, they say Anzela.
Oh, okay. I must have, like, skimmed over that part then.
If she did think it was him, so
there was that scene.
And then the movie ends.
I really like...
the movie ends with the priest being like, hey,
don't do things that God wouldn't do. Or
it ends with him giving like a sermon.
It's a good sermon, and it's completely the antithesis of... Like, it's completely different from what he does and what Vadim does. But, like, it's...
And then...
ironic.
The final shot of the movie, which I had no fucking idea what this was even fucking going for, is that fucking, like, can. Like, that big, like, storage can. Like, I don't know what you fucking call them. A barrel is, like, floating in the ocean. And that's where it ends. And I know that the film was meant to be like a Russian adaptation of, I don't know the guy's name, but there's that dude who like reinforced the fucking bulldozer and like ran it into City Hall, because basically what happens to Koila? Is that his name? Kolia? Happened to him, whereas like he had his property like kind of taken out from under him and got paid like way under what it was worth and had a corrupt mayor, so he's like, I'm gonna take this bulldozer and I'm gonna put a bunch of fucking shit around it to guard me, and then I'm gonna just go on a rampage and shoot myself on the inside. And the whole movie, because I had read that, like, the film was based on that, I'm like, I'm waiting for the moment where, like, Kolia or someone just fucking goes ham and like tries to kill the
never get the chance to.
But yeah, he never got the fucking chance to, unless the extreme act was him murdering his wife, which maybe I don't fucking know.
I really love that they're able to balance the even though we see like more of the tragic side from Kolya's perspective, like he's the protagonist, so like just because that's how protagonists work, you tend to empathize with them more. I think that the beauty of the film is how tragic all three of their like lives are, while being completely different. Like his tragedy is like losing this home that he built with his bare hands, and like, you know, losing that and not getting any money and nobody's there to support him. While like Lilia's tragedy is like she's in like a marriage where she doesn't really love him that much anymore. She's like been thrown into another person's arms because of it. And like he doesn't listen to her. Like she wants to leave. She wants to find a new place. And he's just like, no, this is my home. I built it. Like, yeah, I'd probably cheat on him too. He's a bad partner.
I don't know if I would.
I know I wouldn't, but at the same time, the only other person that she lives with like hates her just for like being in love.
Yeah.
And his is tragic too, because like his dad's an alcoholic. He doesn't really have a dad that's present, and his mother's dead. And the only person here is like this person that he feels is only trying to replace his mother, which is tragic in its own right. Like everything is very tragic and very sad before anything even happens.
Yeah. And the naive part of me, I was so excited when I like looked and saw that like the wife was dead and that they were going to be like charging him for murder, because there was still like 20 minutes on the runtime or so, like maybe a little more at that point, and I was like, there's this naive little piece of me that's like, yes, the lawyer from Moscow is going to come back and he's going to give the case of his lifetime and he's going to save his best friend and redeem himself. And nope.
What I also really love is like the place where all the kids hang out looks like a burnt down church.
Yeah, I was saying that earlier.
What's great is like it's like this place of joy and laughter and like innocence is this burned down church, while the actual church is this place of like corruption and deceit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey. And that's an interesting little thing.
Talk a little bit about, I don't know too much, so I'm not going to talk too much on the subject, but Thomas Hobbes' Leviathan. Because I was at Barnes & Noble this week, and
You read a little bit of it, right?
No, I didn't. I bought the book with the intent, but I did do a little research on, like, the theory and Thomas Hobbes. I plan on reading it. It's just, I had a feeling. I'm like, oh man, I've got some movies to watch. I've been playing a lot of Fortnite.
You could have just not played Fortnite. But you had to.
Am I going to sit down and read a 16th century book about political theories, about obeying fucking figures of authority? Or am I going to play Fortnite where I can go and shoot some 12-year-olds?
Well, you could have your chicken glider.
And I can have my chicken glider and my Osmosis Jones looking guy, or perhaps my hedgehog guy. But... oh, fuck. What was that train of thought I was just talking? Oh, yeah, Leviathan. Yeah, I was at Barnes & Noble and I saw it and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And I kind of flipped over the back and read it and I was like, oh, this kind of has to do with the themes of, like, Leviathan, the movie I just fucking watched. At least a little bit, in terms of, like, basically, Thomas Hobbes was believed to be an atheist. I don't know if it was confirmed or not. Like I said, I haven't done, like, deep research, just kind of, like, basic stuff. But, basically, the big point of his theory is, like, questioning our governing authority, because he was really afraid of the state of nature, where it's basically like humans by themselves trying to survive for themselves, like before we formed civilizations, you know.
He was pretty much saying that we need a governing class.
Yeah, he's like, even
what makes it too much kind of thing,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
and basically his theory is like, it can go pretty far. You can have pretty shitty leaders, and you're still probably better off just doing what they say and obeying them, as opposed to going back to
so he's kind of a
state of nature.
No,
well, he lived through the fucking the English Civil War.
Oh, that's fun.
Civil
Wars are good.
Yeah, basically from the time he was born until he wrote Leviathan when he was like 60, by the way. So like for 60 years. I thought you were gonna say
16. I'm like, whoa.
So like it's just basically like the sum of his life's experiences and his opinions.
Yeah.
And he was basically like, yeah, my life was really shitty because I lived in the state of nature because there was no fucking central government. It was all up in the air and humans were fighting for themselves. And that obviously gets questioned in this movie because, I mean, obviously you're dealing with a very corrupt mayor, a corrupt church, corrupt police force. Like, everything's corrupt, and it's like, is Kolya better off just kind of going with the motions and trying to survive, or would he be better off if he tried to fight back? Who knows? I wish I had the answer, but I don't.
Yeah. Also, this movie was fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
Like the cinematography was both of them, like, shots in both the movies you watched were fucking-tastic.
Yeah, no, it was.
I do think this movie was a little slow. I think we both said that in the first, like, I would say, like, 25 minutes.
Yeah, but once it starts getting going and you get familiarized with, like, the character dynamics and how they're kind of, like, just all the moving parts, it starts becoming pretty compelling.
And The dialogue's fucking great, and the acting is really good too.
Yeah.
It's a little hard when you first get into films from different countries. It's a little hard to judge acting because you haven't seen a lot. Like, if you're not familiar with how like speech patterns are, it takes a little bit. But from what I gathered, it seemed very good. I haven't seen a whole lot of Russian films.
Yeah,
but from what I've seen, I think this and Russian Ark, which I've loved both. So
yeah. God, I need to rewatch Russian Ark. I really liked that. I just couldn't stay awake because I was tired that day.
So, do you have anything else to say about the film?
Not really. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. What did you give it?
I would probably give this one a 9, honestly.
And I gave it an 8. So 8.5 again.
Damn, 2 8.5s. And then what did we give The Lighthouse? Did we rate that? Yeah, because I gave it
9.5.
9.5. So
see all of them. They're all great films.
These are all on the higher scale this week.
And watch every Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Just wait until my ranking list and watch all of the good ones.
There you go. Wanda did all the hard work for you.
Yeah, I did. I did do a lot of work. So next week the next 2 weeks we're going to be doing some pretty special stuff. So next week, I really want to watch a trilogy of films. It's called the Before Trilogy. It's directed by Richard Linklater.
Yep.
They're all starring Ethan Hawke and what's her name?
I don't know her name. She's not American though. She's like,
isn't she French?
Yeah, I think she's a French actor.
Julie Delpy. Delpy. Yeah, she's French American.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize she was French American.
So this is a series of films. They're like romance films that take place like I think they're one day each, but each of them is based 9 years filmed 9 years apart. The first one 95, second one 2004, third one 2013. Before sunrise, before sunset, and then before midnight.
You think 2022 we're gonna get before?
I hope so.
I don't know. Before dawn, where would it go from?
Breaking Dawn Part 1, Breaking Dawn Part 2. Whoa. Eclipse, New Moon.
Before Dawn.
We're the last of the lemons.
Woo! Man, I had already repressed that film, and you brought it right back.
Let me see if they're available anywhere to watch. I don't think so. I think you're going to have to
buy them.
Buy or rent them if you would like to watch them. Actually, Before Midnight might be available to stream because it's the newest one. Let's check. Nope, they're all rent them all. But me and Thomas have already seen Before Sunrise.
Yep.
And I fucking loved it.
Yeah, and I think without spoiling, that film's ending ends on a good, like, kind of long cliffhanger to leave off on.
So it'll be very interesting to watch. So that'll be the basis on next week, and then we're going to be watching another like trio of films the following week. Which
we might as well.
Yeah, it's going to be
Ingmar Bergman. Which
I always say Ingvar.
Ingvar.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe with the dialect, I don't know how they pronounce over there.
I just always think it's a V, and then I'm like, that doesn't sound right. I'm like, Ingmar.
Ingmar, yes.
Yeah. So we're going to be watching Bergman films after that. So we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, well, I'll give the specific films next week.
Yeah. But yeah, watch those movies, because I can tell you Sunrise is great, and I've heard nothing but great things about the other ones. I've heard from a couple people that Sunrise might be their least favorite of the three, even though they still love that one. So I'm very excited to see them.
Yeah, because I thought Sunrise was pretty fucking good, if I do say so myself.
So, yeah. Ethan Hawke's sexy. Okay, thank you for watching. It was a great day. We're back in business. I'm unemployed.
The boys are back!
The boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town!
All right, bye, everybody.
Adios.
Tell your grandma.